Hope you're having a great Sunday afternoon. Today I'm going to talk about comparing ourselves to other people. I've spoken a lot to people lately about different things, and one of the biggest challenges, one of the biggest blocks that people have to being happy is the constant comparison to other people, feeling like we're not good enough, or maybe feeling superior over other people. And actually, this is one of the biggest causes of conflict in our society, is feeling that we are right, for example, other people are wrong, feeling that we're better than other people, feeling we're not as good as other people. This all creates conflict amongst us, and this creates things like terrorist acts, wars, just conflicted relationships, so romantic relationships, always arguments, same with friendships, family members. So firstly, why do we do this? Why do we constantly compare ourselves to other people all the time? Like, what is the reason behind that? So I think there's a couple of things. Firstly, it's what we're taught to do from a young age. So, for example, family members or relatives might say things like, "Oh, you're much taller than your sibling," or you didn't get as good grades at school as your sibling did, or oh, your cousin has done this and that, but you haven't done that. So there's that comparison starts from quite an early age there. So that's one thing, and we always have to feel that we need to compete there. But another more important reason I feel is the fact that it's really inbuilt into the human psyche. It's called the ego. It's basically a false sense of self, and oh, hi there, Ramos. Thanks for your message. I'm just gonna hide those for a sec. Yeah, so I feel like it's built into the human psyche. So it's called the ego. So basically, it's a false sense of self. So it's a sense of self based on thought, basically thought and emotion. So I've talked about this a lot, but it's really important that people understand this because it can stop the conflict going on in the world. So what I would say is that one second, just closing down some windows. Yeah, so it's built into the human psyche, and it's based on thought. So we can say things like, my name's Steph and I'm XYZ. So I'm sporty and I'm fairly intelligent and whatever other things you might think about yourself, which could be anything. I always get angry, or I always get upset, or I'm better than these people, I'm not as good as these people, I'm good at cooking, I'm not good at sport, I'm good at art, all these kind of thoughts basically. Beliefs, which is basically thoughts still about yourself. So that's what makes up basically your entire sense of self, is that you have all these thoughts about yourself. But as I've mentioned before, these things can all change. So you might think you're great at cooking, and then you have a dinner party, and then you cook something, no one likes your food. So that's gonna shake up that as part of your sense of self there, thinking I'm a really good cook. That's what makes me feel good, that makes me feel who I am. But then if you have a dinner party and it's rubbish, basically, and no one likes your food, then it's gonna really make that unsteady, that sense of self. And it's the same with all these other things, they can all change. None of them are permanent. So obviously that's not really a good place to kind of base your sense of self, is it? And all these thoughts about ourselves. It's not a permanent thing. It's always changing. But the reason most people don't know who their real self is, they believe that they are all these thoughts. They believe that this voice in the head is who they are, and it's true. So every thought that comes into the head, they identify with, and they believe it to be true. So that is the reason why you're constantly comparing yourself to others, because you feel like you've got to make sure this sense of self that you have, this basket with your name on it, which contains all kinds of thoughts, is always strong. And so the only way to make this feel strong is to make it different from other people, basically. So you might think, okay, right, as soon as you meet someone new, we find out stuff about them. Okay, what's their job? What do they look like? What kind of clothes do they wear? How much money do they have? How good are they at sport? How good are they at dancing? What kind of music do they like? And you try and define your sense of self more based on the people you meet. So you might think, oh, I'm more intelligent than this person, or I'm better looking than this person, or you're always making yourself inferior or superior to someone to try and strengthen your own sense of self. which is crazy, really. It's kind of funny when you know the alternative, but when you don't know the alternative, then it's not fun at all, and it actually is quite trapping. And all you're doing is looking at other people through this lens of thought, basically, of like seeing them as like a thought-based entity and seeing them as not another human, not like a true connection that you can have with someone. So the way out of this kind of trap, this horrible trap, which creates all the suffering between people, basically, is to start being present with people. So this means there's a few ways. So I suggest, like in previous videos, by like starting not with people because they're quite judgmental and quite hard work. People are, let's be honest. So a good way to start is just with nature. So beautiful weather at the moment in the UK. Long evenings, so after work, there's no reason why you can't go outside for a bit. Have a look around you. Look at the sky. Look at the constantly changing the sky and the trees around you. And just look without judging. So don't try and label them. Just have a look. See, right, oh, what colours are there? And just notice, like the shapes, the colours, the movement, and try and stay fully alert, like really aware. And there's little tricks you can do here to get out of the thinking mind. So you can say, for example, if you're looking at a tree like I am now, you can say, whilst I'm looking at this tree, I wonder what my next thought's going to be. And then you can become so alert that you wait to see, right, what is my next thought going to be? And in that alertness, which is the stated presence, that's when you can't have thought because you're so alert. All your consciousness, or your attention is within your sense perceptions and that state of alertness, and it's not within the thinking mind. So give that a go. It's really interesting. So if you're walking and you're just sick of all the stuff going on in your head and you actually want to look around you and be present, you can say to yourself, okay, what is my next thought going to be? And then remain really alert and just wait to see what it is. And you might find it takes quite a long time for a thought to come in. Really interesting. So you do that with nature, and you can do it with anything. Like I've got a little pebble from a beach here, and you can just spend a few moments looking at it without naming anything. So you can look at the colours, you can feel it, sense perception of touch. It's very smooth. You can see the different colours. Might have a smell. Actually, it does smell kind of the sea because it was at a beach, salty kind of smell. Use your senses. Start looking at things like that. And then when you practice that a bit, you can start practicing with people. As I say, that's much more tricky with people because they've got judgments towards you. It's easy to form judgments to other people. But a way to help you with that, to not judge and compare yourself automatically, which we all do without knowing a lot of the time, is to just look at someone in the eyes. So when you talk to them, you can really look into their eyes and really focus on what they're saying, and listen really intently. Because the moment we start looking at other things, like around the face, around the body, around the clothes, that's when we start getting these of judgment. So it's much easier if we can just stay focused on their eyes and really pay attention, really listen to what that person's saying. And what you might realise there is that we're all the same, basically. We have different bodies, but ultimately we are awareness with consciousness in a form. So we're consciousness in a body, which means we are this awareness. So we are the awareness that allows sense perceptions, that allows thoughts, that allows emotions, but we are the awareness underlying all of that. And exactly the same for the other person. It's exactly the same. Their experience of when they shut their eyes and there's no thought, and they're just connected kind of with themselves, that feeling of I am, that feeling of beingness, which you can't really describe in words. You've got to just experience it. That's exactly who that person is. So for example, you can try it now whenever you watch this video, which is shutting your eyes and then asking yourself, who am I? And the answer does not lie in concepts, in words, it's an experience. So you can say, who am I? Without thinking about my past, which is more thought, without trying to think about the future, which is just projected thought again. Shut your eyes, who am I at this moment? And you can pause for a bit. And you might, and you can give the answer to that question, who am I? And if it's an answer like, I am a woman, or I'm a mother, or I'm a child, or I'm a father, or I'm a chef, or whatever. That's wrong. It's not who you are. Any answer you can give in the level of words, concepts is wrong. The real answer only comes when you don't have concepts anymore. You don't have the words, and you just have this experience of who you are. So that experience of aliveness, of beingness, that is who you are ultimately, and that is also who everyone else is. The only thing that stops that is this whole, so with awareness is the whole layer of thought on top. So the identity that people make for themselves. So they might say, I'm a Christian, or I'm a Jew, I'm a black person, I'm a hairdresser, whatever. This is all just conditioned kind of stuff, and it might be true on one level. Yes, you might have a job with this, but that's not ultimately who you are, because a job can change, for example. So once you realise that, and that's what everyone else is, you don't compare yourself anymore to people. And what a liberation that is. Really, not having to compare yourself to everyone that you meet. So normally, the common way people are every day, they meet someone, they're automatically comparing, right, how good looking are they? What job do they have? How much money do they have? How good are they this? How good are they that? Blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, it's endless. So exhausting. And that's just merely just to try and give you a sense of identity. But that is ultimately false. So people just to be present with others, look in the eyes, listen to what the person's got to say, and just stay in that state of awareness and ignore judgments, thoughts that come in. That's how the world changes. We're all one. We're all ultimately the same. So the comparing is just a method of the ego to try and enhance a full sense of self. So yeah, the more present you become, the less you compare yourself to others, and it just basically stops. You don't compare yourself to people anymore, and it's hugely liberating, and it frees you then, because you know that you can be whoever you want to be, and so can the other person, and that ultimately it's you, the other person is you in a different disguise. And that might sound a bit odd to you, but the more you practice actually waking up, being present, not lost in thinking all the time, like pointless, judgmental, critical thinking, and you just stay present with people, the more you realize that. It's almost like meeting yourself, but in a different disguise. And like, that's so fun. Much more fun than a judging entity of, oh, they're better than me, well, that person's, I'm better than them, but they're not as good at putting some kind of hierarchy. Oh, God, no. You don't need to do that. So I invite you to give it a go. Try to be present with people. Try practicing on nature, for example, first, and looking at things without judging, listening to people without judging, eating or drinking, just actually tasting what you're doing. And then ultimately realize you don't ever have to compare yourself to anyone again. You're you. In a way, you're unique. You've got a unique body. You've got you're not going to be the same as anyone else ever. But at a deeper level, you are one. Like you are awareness, consciousness, and this only happens when you're present. So hopefully this made sense. Please let me know. Let me know if it makes sense to you, or you just have no idea what I'm on about. Please do comment below if you enjoyed it. Please like it. Facebook then shares it with more people, which means that more people get to see it. There'll be less comparison, less conflict, less violence, less war. The more people understand this, that we're all ultimately one. We don't need to compare ourselves. So yeah, please do like or comment, or just send me a private message, and just have a lovely, non-judgmental, enjoying yourself day. So not comparing yourself to others, enjoying the day, enjoying your sense perceptions, your 5 senses. You can look at things, taste, smell, touch, hear the birds. Enjoy the simple pleasures in life, and have a great day. Right, see you later.